Donald Trump comes outside of court at the end of the proceedings today and quotes from a whole litany of legal experts on Fox, primarily, who are saying there's no case, there's nothing here, et cetera. I believe that there are going to be problems for the prosecution, but you think that that corroboration part has gone well enough?
Oh, my God, yes. I mean, if you take any other prosecution, a normal prosecution, there is more than adequate corroboration here. Don't forget, it's not just Michael Cohen who is an accomplice witness. It's also David Pecker. So you've got two accomplice witnesses who corroborate each other. Now, it's true that David Pecker wasn't tightly involved in the Stormy Daniels situation, but he was involved in the overall scheme, which was the catch and kill scheme to keep information out of the public view before the 2016 election. He laid out the scheme to begin with. So when you've got two accomplice witnesses and you've got them corroborated by a tape recording, I think it's pretty much a lock.
Well, so I would say it this way. I think that they have one of two problems. Problem number one, potentially, for prosecutors is that some of the jurors, one juror maybe, just says, you got Cohen, who I can't believe. You got Stormy Daniels, who I can't believe. They both want to get him. All they want to do is get Donald Trump. And you just sort of throw that in together, and they just say, well, that's reasonable doubt. The other possibility is the flip side, which is the two lawyers on the jury say, well, wait a sec. I don't understand exactly why they're prosecuting this case at all, which they shouldn't be doing, but which they could. And secondly, as a legal matter, they say, well, what exactly was the crime that was committed that led to the felony here? You don't think that either of those things could happen?
I don't think so. Yeah. No, I think you'd have to have a real oddball to suddenly try and turn that whole jury around. I think over the course of time, both as a defense lawyer and as a prosecutor, I've had one hung jury. And that was a jury that I prosecuted that case. I picked the guy. I put next to him, when I picked him, harmless turkey. He was a turkey, all right, but he wasn't harmless. He wound up being a very lonely person who was isolated.
This is different, though.
And held everybody.
This isn't like every other case, right? I mean, there is something different. Everyone comes in with a baked-in view, A, of Donald Trump, and maybe even B, of this prosecution, even though they weren't following it that closely, according to the jury.
Oh, I don't think so. You'd be surprised how many people come into the jury pool that have absolutely no idea.
Yes, I agree with that.
I mean, that happens all the time.
All the time.
And they're going to listen to the judge's instructions. They're going to pay real close attention to the evidence. They're going to follow that evidence, and they're going to do exactly as the judge instructs them to do. I have found in lots and lots of jury cases that I've tried that the jurors, people who serve on a jury, are very conscientious just because they may have some political affiliation. Look at the Manafort case. Well, there were two Republicans on that case that didn't want to convict, but they did because
But look at one of Steve Bannon's co-defendants where there was a hung jury because he kept using the word witch hunt. He kept saying, this is a witch hunt. It's a witch hunt. He ended up on the jury. He hung the jury. And that wasn't even Donald Trump.
Well, it's even worse, actually. Bannon is just as bad. But the fact of the matter is, there are so few hung juries. That very rarely happens. What they really have to focus on is the evidence. The fact that there are two lawyers on that jury doesn't really make a difference. I served on a jury in that very courthouse. There was another lawyer on that jury with me. We wound up arguing about it and came to a compromise. And we had a compromise verdict in a criminal case. So just the fact that there are lawyers on there, I don't think really gets you very far. Because at the end of the day, the law that they have to follow is the law that the judge instructs them at the end. And if there's one thing I've learned is that people who serve on juries are very, very conscientious, and they will follow the rules almost all the time.
And on this, I'll give you something, which is that the main arguments being made in the right-leaning media is that the case never should have been brought, right? And I happen to agree with that view. I've said that many times. But that's not an argument for the jury.
That's right.
You can make that argument on TV all you want, and you can criticize the DA all you want. But when you get in front of the jury, you can't argue the case never should have been brought.
No, but more than that, this is a very important case. It's really, look, it is a election interference case. If Donald Trump hadn't done this, hadn't defrauded the voting public in 2016, he would have never become president.
I think you do a disservice to election interference by calling this an election interference case. This is the same kind of,
I disagree completely.
Yeah.
This is exactly what Richard Nixon did. He wound up authorizing $1 million in hush money to the Watergate burglars so they'd keep quiet during the election so he could get reelected. It's the same thing that Donald Trump did.
The Watergate burglars are the same as this?
I said what Nixon did in terms of keeping people quiet before the election is exactly the same thing that Donald Trump did here to get elected.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.